Hello, Econ Scholars. It's Mr. C again. I'm obviously not in class physically, but I'm here on the computer screen. So it's good to be here. Um, we are going to go over just a couple of things today. As you can see on the agenda, hopefully you've probably already watched CNN 10, and then we need to check a few of your assignments before or as we prepare for the test that's coming up here. And I'll talk about that for a few minutes when I'm done going through these assignments. So if you want to get out that supply and demand packet and pull that up on your screen or on your Chromebook, I'll give you a minute to do that. And as you're doing that, just a friendly reminder that we will be doing the essay, and I'll go over that in a little bit here on Thursday. We'll do that, the test portion of the essay portion of the test. Your review guide for the test is due that day. And if you want to be eligible for test corrections, you got to have that done and completed by Thursday when we get here for the essay. You'll take the multiple choice section, and there are a couple curve stuff that we've been drawing. That stuff's all on the other part of the test, and that will be done for you guys. That'll be on Tuesday of next week. So it's a week from today. All right, hopefully you can see my screen okay. I'm going to work on something here to maybe enlarge it a little bit. There we go. Okay, so in the review here of the supply and demand, that's supply and demand packet. The first one there, supply slopes, they always go up. Remember, supply to the sky. So it should have been up for number one. For number two, demand slopes, they always go down. That's the opposite, right? Demand down. Demand to the sand. Number three was a manager of a catering business ordered 200 pounds of lobster for a wedding reception. However, half the guests who said they would come did not show up. Will the caterer have a shortage or a surplus of the lobster, and why? Well, there's going to be a surplus of lobster because the caterer ordered lobster for a larger number of people than those who showed up. Number four, an electronics store ordered the same amount of iPads in December as they did every other month of the year. This year, the news reported that one of the best holiday gift items would be an iPad. Will the store probably have a shortage or surplus of iPads? Why? Well, they're going to have a shortage because more people go holiday shopping in December. And if iPads are a popular gift item, sales will be up during that month. Number five, due to a poultry disease that has hurt the egg industry, the price of a dozen eggs has risen to $10. The price is expected to rise even more. Would the government most likely put a price floor or price ceiling on eggs? Why? The government would create a price ceiling because they don't want prices to get so high that people can't afford it, to prevent the price of eggs from rising so high that people can't afford them, because eggs are considered a necessity. Number six, would toilet paper have elastic or inelastic demand? Why? We've actually talked about this a little bit because during COVID, the toilet paper was a big issue. That's inelastic because there are very few substitutes for toilet paper. I can't think of any or any logical substitutes. And most people would consider it a necessity. Plus, it is a small share of one's budget. Number seven, would cookies have elastic or inelastic demand? Why? Elastic demand because there are many substitutes for cookies, brownies, snacks, etc. You can find a lot of other things to have if you couldn't get your cookies. All right, then we went to that multiple choice section. Identify the choice that best completes the statement or answers the question. For number eight, what is the principle of the law of demand? That would have been D. The lower the price, the more consumers will buy. Price goes down, demand goes up. Number nine, what strategy might a business use to increase the demand for its product? That'd be B. Lowering prices and increasing advertising. Number 10, if product A and product B are complementary goods, so two things that you kind of buy together, then a rise in the price of product A will cause a decrease in the demand for product B. So if ketchup goes up in price, we're not going to buy as much ketchup. So we're probably going to buy less mustard as well. Even though the price of mustard might not have changed, but the price of the complementary good, the ketchup, did. 11, a grocery store usually sells their 2-liter Coke products for $1.50 each. They had a large quantity left over after the Super Bowl, so they decided to sell their Coke products for 50 cents each. Which of the following most likely true? That would have been B. The store had a surplus, but will end up with a shortage. Well, they have a surplus right away, so they want to sell it off. So when they drop that price so much, all of a sudden, price goes down, demand goes up, and those don't meet each other anymore. So they're going to end up with a shortage. 12, if Joel makes $100 a week and prices rise, so inflation occurs, but Joel's income stays the same, what would the effect be on Joel's demand for goods? Remember, prices went up, but his income stayed the same. So he can't buy as much stuff as he used to be able to with the same amount of money. That'd be D. He'll buy fewer goods. He doesn't have as much money. 13, a wheat disease has killed the majority of U.S. wheat crop for the year, resulting in a very high wheat prices. The government decides to set prices lower than the equilibrium price. What name do economists give the resulting set price in the disequilibrium situation? That'd be C. That'd be a price ceiling, which might then create a shortage. 14, iron ore is used to make steel. If a new source of iron ore was discovered in the United States, how might that affect the supply of cars? Well, because a lot of iron goes into making cars, all of a sudden we found all this new iron. There's more stuff available to make cars. So A, the supply of cars is going to go up. 15, new techniques in the production of computers makes it possible to produce them at a lower cost. What do you think would happen in the market for computers? It'd be D. The supply curve will shift to the right because we can supply more. 16, which of the following products has inelastic demand? That'd be D, cancer medication. Like we can find something for A, lipstick. We don't have to have lipstick. Or we can find a substitute for it. Boats. We don't have to have boats. Like soda, pop. We don't have to have soda. Cancer medication, yes, we have to have that. We're going to have to pay whatever the cost is of it. 17, what factor most determines the elasticity of supply? That'd be C, time. 18, which of the following is a good that might not be bought if prices rise? So prices went way up. Which of these things aren't we going to buy? That'd be A, the luxury good. Like I'm not going to go out and buy a boat if prices go way up because I don't necessarily need that boat. 19, which of the following goods would probably have elastic demand? So where we will change our demand a lot if prices change. That'd be D, the cupcakes. A, milk is sort of considered a necessity. We're going to buy it at any price. B, electricity, same thing. We're going to buy it at any price. We need it. Diapers, yeah, got to have diapers, okay, at any price. You're going to need it. Cupcakes, don't necessarily need. Okay, then the following table gives the daily supply and demand for pizza at a Major League Baseball park. Use the table to answer the questions that follow. So as we can see here, we've got a demand schedule and a supply schedule. So it shows how much we demand at each of those prices on the left. It shows what is going to be supplied for us by the baseball park at each of those prices as well. So number 20, what is the equilibrium price of pizza slices? How do you know? Well, the equilibrium price, remember on the graphs, the equilibrium price is where the supply curve and the demand curve hit each other. So we need to look at this chart and see where quantity demanded and quantity supplied are the same. So it's at $4 because that's the price where quantity supplied and quantity demanded are equal. 21, if the managers of the baseball park decide to set the price of pizza at $3 a slice, how many slices would be demanded? Okay, it's a demanded, so we're going to look at our demand schedule here. It said $3, we go right over. They're going to supply the baseball park, the fans there, with 3,100 slices of pizza. If the manager of the baseball park decided to set the price of pizza at $1 a slice, excuse me, will there be a shortage or a surplus of pizza? How do you know? Well, there's going to be a shortage because the quantity demanded at $1 is much higher. 5,000. We want 5,000 slices of pizza at $1. But yet the baseball park is only willing to supply 500. Like, that's not even close. So they're going to be short 4,500 pieces of pizza. So there'll be a shortage. 23, according to the graph above, what happens to the equilibrium price when demand increases? Well, if we see our original demand curve here, D1, it shifted to the right, so demand increased. So we see D2, the original price, if you can see my little mouse thing here, was, if I made those dotted lines going across, it's about right here. Okay, right about where the I is in price. Well, when demand shifted, that equilibrium is right here. If we made our little dotted line across, it hits above the word price. So it went up. It went from right here, where it was at about the I, to up here. So the equilibrium price increased. So it'd be B. Okay, then we had those scenarios to go through. If we want to just take a peek here, the market for frozen waffles, the price of syrup went up drastically. Those are complementary goods. So that's the demand of a price of a related good, so complementary good. Demand is going to decrease. Price of syrup went up. We're not buying as much syrup, so we're not buying as many waffles either. So price went down, as we can see on the graph. Quantity went down. Number 2, surfboards. There's a population boom all across the state of California. We're talking about surfboards now. So the supply or demand. Well, it's demand. More people are living there. It's number of buyers, number of consumers. It's affecting the demand. It's going to increase. And when we drew our shifts and our dotted lines here, it showed that the price, the original price, went up, and that the original quantity also goes up. All right, then number 3, the market for fuzzy socks. The price of polyester, the material used to make fuzzy socks, falls by a quarter. Okay, how's this going to affect supply or demand? Well, it's going to affect supply. It's going to cost fuzzy sock makers less to produce their product. So it's the cost of production here would be the shifter, and it's going to increase supply. They have now more money to make more socks. They don't have to pay as much for the polyester. So as we can see, if we drew our new dotted lines, the price is going to go down and the quantity supplied is going to go up. Then we've got computer games. A sale on computer games starts next week. So if you're in the market for computer games, your demand for it right now is what we're focused on. You know there's going to be a sale next week. They're going to be less expensive next week. So we have some expectations of future prices. And because we know it's going to be less expensive in a week, our demand right now is down. We don't want them right now. We want it in a week. So there's going to be a decrease in demand. So if you drew those dotted lines again, the price is going to go down, quantity is going to go down. Our price demanded goes down and our quantity demanded goes down right now. In a week, that could change when the sale hits. Number 5, bicycles is what we're focused on. Bicycle manufacturers get a report that a surge of interest in unicycling has caused prices of unicycles to skyrocket. Okay, these are substitute goods. So supply or demand going to be affected of bicycles? Probably the supply because of the cost of another good. And the supply is going to decrease. So if we drew our new shift, our new curve, we look at our dotted lines, supply is going to decrease. Prices are going to go up, quantities are going to go down. 6, the market is SUVs. You know what? We're going to skip 6. This one gets real goofy. Oh, excuse me. No, it doesn't. Let's go over this one. SUVs, sport utility vehicles. So sort of like the big cars. The government places a tax on vehicles that get less than 30 miles per the gallon. If you know anything about SUVs, they get less than 30 miles per gallon. So the government is going to put a tax on those vehicles, which is going to make it more expensive for producers, car manufacturers, to make those cars because they're going to have to pay more in taxes. They won't have as much money to pour into labor, to some of the factors of production. So it's going to affect supply of SUVs because of a government action or a government policy that's a tax. It's going to decrease supply. So if we drew our shift to the left of the supply curve, we look at our new points. If we drew those dotted lines, we're going to see that the price goes up and the quantity goes down. Okay, 7, let's skip over 7. That was the goofy one. 8, the market is snow globes. A new machine cuts the production of glitter snow in half. Is that going to affect supply or demand? Well, it's going to be much less expensive to produce snow globes. So the companies can produce probably more of them. So supply is going to be affected because of the cost of resources or the production cost. We're going to see an increase in the supply. So we're going to shift our supply curve to the right, draw our dotted lines. We'll see that the new price is going down. The new quantity supplied went up. Hot sauce, here we go. The scenario, a new study proclaims that hot sauce can cause baldness. Uh-oh. I don't even use hot sauce, so this can't be true. I'm going bald. It's not because of my hot sauce usage, because I don't use it. But if that study came out, it's going to affect our attitude and taste toward hot sauce. We're not going to want it as much. So that's going to be our demand. And it's going to decrease. People are going to want to use less hot sauce. So we shift our demand curve to the left, draw our new dots, and where those hit the price and the quantity, prices are going to go down, quantities are going to go down. 10, ramen noodles. The country is in the midst of a depression. Okay, ramen noodles, at least I remember when I was in college and I had less money, I bought ramen noodles all the time. So when I had less income, that's something that I went to. I bought more ramen noodles. So that affected my demand for ramen noodles. And in a depression, people have less money. And their demand is going to increase for ramen noodles because they're not very expensive. And our incomes went down. So that's the incomes of the buyers, of the consumers. So we shift our demand curve to the right, draw our new dots, and it shows that price went up and quantity went up. Then frozen pizzas, the price of pepperoni doubles, which is going to then increase the cost of those frozen pizzas or to produce the frozen pizzas. So that's going to affect supply. The shifter is those resources costs. It's the production cost that goes up. And so we're going to see a decrease in the supply. We shift our supply curve to the left, draw those dotted lines, and we see that the price went up, quantity went down. And the last one, digital cameras. A major manufacturer announces it will no longer produce digital cameras. So a big business that makes digital cameras is done. They're not going to make them anymore. So there's going to be obviously less supply. It's the number of sellers, number of producers in the market. Supply is going to decrease. We shift our supply curve to the left. We draw our new dotted lines, and at that new equilibrium point, prices had gone up from the original, quantity had gone down from the original. Okay, then let's move on to the worksheets with equilibrium price and quantity. That first one we went over in class together. We had to circle what was going to be going on in terms of supply and demand based on the fact that, like the directions said, frost has killed much of the expected crop of juice oranges in Florida. Use the graphs above to answer the following questions. So we said for the first one that there's going to be a decrease in the supply of oranges and that the determinant was natural disasters and weather. Then number 2 basically asked us to chart that. So we did. The supply of those oranges is going to go down. There are less of them because many of the oranges were killed off. So there's just less oranges to produce orange juice. So we drew this new supply curve to the left. We shifted it to the left. And then we showed that from the original equilibrium point here, that's why I always draw those dotted lines. I found the original. Then I found the new equilibrium here with our new supply curve. It showed that the price per bushel went up and that the quantity of oranges went down. They both changed there. Okay, then number 3, circle the correct words. There will be an increase or decrease in the demand or supply of apples as a result of the frost's effect on the juice of the orange crop. And then write the determinant. Well, we saw that the prices of the oranges went up. So that's a substitute good. If you weren't going to use oranges, you might shift over to use something similar. So apples, another fruit, that's a substitute good. When the price of the oranges went up, we all want to buy apples more. So there's going to be an increase in the demand for apples when the orange crop was affected. So then on graph B, show it, basically. So we took a demand because we said demand was affected. We said there's going to be an increase, so we shifted it to the right and drew a new demand curve to the right. I did the same thing. I drew all my dotted lines, and it showed over here that the price went up and that the quantity went up. So what will happen to the market price of apples? We said it's going to go up. It's going to increase. The market price for oranges, we showed the same thing, went up over here. The quantity of oranges bought and sold, we said was going to decrease quantity right now, right here. We showed that it decreased on graph A. That was the opposite on graph B with the apples. The prices went down of apples, so we are going to demand more of it. The quantity went up. The quantity demanded went up. Okay, then price floors and ceilings. Refer to the graph below to answer the questions. What is the market price? Okay, so right away it showed us. Just looking at the graph. You can see a lot by looking. Market price right here was that equilibrium. Dotted line goes across to 50. The dollar price here. The market price was 50 for number 1. Number 2, what quantity is demanded and what quantity is supplied at the market price? Well, at the market price, that's where demand and supply are equal to each other. So they're the same thing. So at that market price, if you were to draw the dotted line going down, it hit at about 150. So they're both 150. Then number 3, what quantity is demanded and what quantity is supplied if the government passes a law requiring the price to be $30? We said market price is $50. So they're setting a price ceiling, and it showed that on the graph, $30. They set a price ceiling. And it asked you what's going to happen with supply. So you can see at $30 where the supply is at. You can also see over here where it hit demand at $30. So the quantity demanded at $30 would be, if you hit your spot here and we went down to quantity demanded, it'd be about 190, 185, somewhere in there. Okay, but the supply, where it hits the supply curve, is at about 110, 105. If you draw those dotted lines. Number 4, what quantity would be demanded and what quantity would be supplied if the government passes a law requiring the price to be $80? They set a price floor at $80. They drew that line for you to show where it intersects with demand and where it intersects with supply. So quantity demanded at $80. Well, we went across to $80, hit the demand curve, go down to quantity, it hits at 80. So 80 would be quantity demanded. Quantity supplied, we go up to that price floor, go over here where it hits the supply curve, go straight down, and it hits at about 220. Then lastly, at the big football university, for these questions, assume the university has set the price of a season ticket at $90. It will take action against those who it discovers reselling the tickets at a higher price. That is, it will try to prevent black market or scalper sales above $90. There are 90,000 seats in the stadium. Okay, so it graphed this out for us. It showed it for us. They drew this stuff. Why is the supply curve a vertical curve? Well, because supply can't change. We're talking about the tickets. It said there are 90,000 seats at the stadium. So the university can only supply 90,000, and that's constant. Like they can't build a bunch new. They're not going to section off a bunch of stuff. 90,000 is constant. So the supply will always be constant. So it's a straight line right at 90,000. B, how many tickets are available at the university's price? Well, the university's price is right here. Still, it doesn't matter what the price is. Like, it's 90,000. Then C, how many tickets do football fans want to buy at the university's price? So, want to buy, demand. If we go to the university's price and go all the way over the demand curve, it hits at about, if you put 120, 125, whatever in there, that's what it's at. 120,000 seats is what people demand at that price. Yet the university can only supply 90,000 because that's the amount of seats that they have. So D, what's the problem with respect to supply or demand? A surplus or short? There's a shortage. People are demanding 120,000, yet they can only be supplied with 90,000. So they're 30,000 short. Is the university's price a price floor or a price ceiling? Well, it's a price ceiling because it falls underneath the market price. The market price is $120. The price was set at 90. So that's a price ceiling. Price ceilings always fall below that equilibrium price. So what are some means of eliminating the problem in order to prevent black market or scalping? Well, you might have come up with a bunch of different reasons. And some of them might be non-economic reasons. Well, we can put police around the stadium and make sure people aren't doing that. Or how can you eliminate that problem of people raising the price? Well, the university could just raise the price. They could go up to the market price. The market shows that people are willing to buy tickets at $120. So maybe they could raise their price, and then people won't be able to scalp or black market those tickets at a higher price because demand will be met. 3, for each solution put forward, answer the following questions. Will the solution eliminate the problem? Well, if they raise their price to $120, then yeah, there won't be a shortage. Or they could build more seats because people are obviously demanding more, or they would pay for more seats. Is the solution fair? It's up to you. I'll read through your answers. And then what's the best solution? Well, that's kind of up to you. So that's those two, or that supply and demand packet. Hopefully you got that all done and taken care of and turned in. Again, we got to make sure we're getting our homework done and getting it in on time so that we're ready for those things right when they are all due. Okay, now looking forward to Thursday. I told you guys that I would prepare you for the essay just like I have in the past. Here you go. Here's the essay on the test. This is what it's going to look like on the test. This is what you're going to have in front of you on Thursday. So you know to prepare for this a little bit. It says, take a stand on the issue of the proposed change in the minimum wage. Remember, the minimum wage is the amount of money that our government says is the minimum that employers have to pay their employees. They can't pay them less. It's illegal. It says you may be either for or against the proposed law on your answer sheet. Write a letter to your U.S. representative telling him or her what you think. Use the information provided to support your position on the following policy questions. Here you go. The minimum wage, just the proposal. The minimum wage for workers 18 years of age and over will be raised to $10 per hour, while workers 18 years of age will have a $7.25 minimum wage. What do you think? Is that good or bad, basically? In your letter, you must include the following in this order. That first bullet point, a clear statement of your position. So yes, I agree with this. No, I don't. And then explain. The second bullet point, supporting information from the data section. Okay, up on the test, here's part B of the data section. It's a chart and graph that you can use. There's also this chart and graph that you're gonna be able to use as well. Okay, that's the data section. You got to use something from there. So refer back to, well, in the chart for part B in the data section, it says that, or it shows that, or in part A of the data section. You don't need to use something from both, just from one of them. The third bullet point, supporting information from things you have learned in class. So consider using supply and demand, price floors, broad social goals, factors of production. Refer back to something along those lines that you've learned in class to help support your argument. The fourth bullet point, provide and explain how one core democratic value listed below would be upheld by your position. So economic freedom, how would that be upheld by your position? Or promoting the general welfare, and explains what those two things are. So you got to refer back to one of those two things. Don't skip that. And then a conclusion that one recognizes a counter argument by someone who disagrees with you. So someone that doesn't agree with you, you might say, well, someone that doesn't agree with you might say that, blah, 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 blah. And then you got to refute that argument. So show the weakness in their argument. And that'll get you another 2 points. Same stuff as the other essays that we've written on previous econ tests and even back to first semester with civics. So very similar. It deals with minimum wage. So that's what we'll be doing in class on Thursday. If you're not here on Thursday, you'll be able to write the essay on next week, Tuesday, in class. Friendly reminder, make sure that your study guide is due. It's due on Thursday. So if you want to be eligible for test corrections, got to be ready by Thursday with that study guide. We will then go over the study guide later to make sure that you've got the right answers heading into the weekend on the study guide for the stuff to study for the rest of the test. Hey, the rest of the hour, the rest of the time is yours to either finish up that study guide. Really, you got plenty of time. There's no reason you shouldn't have that study guide done. Or start studying. Make a Quizlet, make flashcards, quiz each other, find a friend. And then make sure that you're preparing yourself in the right way for this upcoming test on Thursday. Okay, if you have any questions, please reach out, email me, and we'll take care and make sure, excuse me, we'll make sure that you're in a good spot heading into the test next week, Tuesday.